Hi, I'm Ben.
And I'm Ernie.
And I'm Jasmine.
And this is Budget Nerds.
What was all in your mind?
You are not alone.
No, you are not. Friends, welcome back to another episode. Always great to have you here. And we're doing another category interview episode. Today we have with us Jasmin. Jasmin, welcome to Budget Nerds.
Hi. So excited to be here.
Jasmine reached out like a long time ago. Back, I think when we interviewed Kath? Or
After the Kath
else?
interview.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Jasmine reached out and said, I would love to be on the show. So why don't you introduce yourself? Tell us a little bit who you are, what you do, kind of all that stuff.
Okay. My name's Jasmin Green. I am a PhD candidate in the graduate group of ecology at UC Davis. And so
She's super smart, guys.
So I am a budget nerd of probably about 5 years at this point, and I just really love YNAB. It has gotten me together in the very unstable financial landscape that is graduate school. So yeah, it's just been such a big part of my grad school journey, honestly, and also just young adult life. So here I am, ready to talk about my categories with you all.
All right. That's awesome. Yeah. We wanted to talk to a single person because I feel like we've had like a lot of married folks. And so like we were like, what can we do? And I feel like yours is even more interesting because like you said, your situation is like crazy. I'm sure because like you don't know what's going to happen like the next semester, right? Is that kind of how it is?
Yeah, it is for me. I know it differs school to school, but yeah, our situation is that we're actually on quarters, so it's 3 times a year that we had to figure out what we're doing for funding. Yeah.
Okay, that's even wilder. Do you have to like does your funding all come from the school, or do you have to like write grants and stuff like that too, or how does that work for you?
Yeah, a bit of both. So if you are able to get a grant like funding from external program that like funds your salary, that's honestly goals because you can do your research and like live at the same time. But
that's nice.
That is nice.
Nice to be able to live.
But if you don't have that, the classic TA-ship, those are an option as well. You have to apply to get those, so it's not like a guarantee, at least in my program. So that's tends to be more of the fallback because it takes a lot of your time to do like teaching and stuff. So it's a really important part of higher education, of course. But yeah, it does slow down your research progress. So those are usually the main mechanisms. Totally. And outside of classes, there are some other ways that you can get funding for doing your research, and that actually pays to support your living. So I make that distinction because you also have to get funding for like your research, and oftentimes there'll be grants for that, but they don't fund like your like salary or stipend, that kind of thing.
Super interesting. Yeah, I did a little bit of grad work, but mine was in history, not in science. So
yeah, very different.
My funding of my research was just like driving to an archive somewhere and look at old dusty papers. This wasn't like too expensive.
That's
so that was a whole different world. But when I was a TA, I made like my stipend, I think, was like $8,000 a year. So you could not live on that, obviously.
Yeah.
But I was very grateful. I was married at the time, so was able to cover a lot of things with my wife's income, but I know you're on your own, so you got all this other things to worry about too. So it's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was saying pretty variable is the bottom line for your income situation.
Yeah,
right?
definitely. And that's why YNAB's been so great. I don't know. I feel like I'm like proselytizing like everyone.
That's what this show's all about, basically.
Well, why don't we start at the beginning? Just paint a picture of what life looked like pre-YNAB.
Sure. So, I started grad school about 2 years after I graduated undergrad. So pretty, not straight through, but pretty direct line. So I had a job in between where I was, making some money, but I was living with family, so I was able to build up some savings. And when I started grad school, like things have changed a lot, and in our program, people complain, rightfully so, that they don't really earn a lot of money, which is true. We don't, we're not making it's not a very plush job, but we do generally earn enough to support ourselves. For me, it's the most money that I've been making, but I guess I've never really had a
Right.
salaried position before then. So, I had the feeling I had, a bank account that, basically my dad had set up for me before I went to college. And I was just trying to be financially responsible once I had an income. And I was like, I don't really know. I just had a lot of uncertainty because it was on the one hand, I was making probably the most money that I'd ever really made as an individual. And at the same time, I now had bills and wanting to do fun stuff with my friends and also save for the future because I had student loans. Wanted to set up a Roth IRA, just wanted to be a responsible financial person, and not really knowing how to do that. What I think before YNAB, I just had my bank account and I had a savings account. I think I actually had multiple savings accounts because I wanted to do the whole I don't know, just the basically categories, but with bank accounts. And
Yeah,
Totally.
you were doing it, but just the hard way.
yeah.
Right?
And
Totally.
yeah, so it was weird because I was like, well, if I put it in a savings account, it's harder to get access to it. But I also want to make sure I don't just spend that money that I'm planning for, a rainy day or whatever, frivolously. Yeah, and there was just so much that so basically I had the most money that I had ever really had, but I was afraid to spend money too because I was like, what if something happens? So I knew that I wanted a change. And it was actually my friend who I was living with at the time. They told me that they're like, you need a budget. They already had a YNAB. And I was like, oh, what is this? And
Nice.
yeah, so it definitely is percolating. But yeah, so I, got the free trial. I didn't really figure it out for a while. I think I had to build some of those good YNAB habits before it really clicked. But I stuck with it.
Totally.
Yeah, I stuck with it for, through a couple of years where money was especially strange. My budget was changing a lot. And so really, really happy for the fresh start feature. I use that a lot. Yeah, and now,
Nice.
yeah, it clicked. Just I think one day it finally clicked, and I was like, there's no going back, truly. And then I was meeting all of my budget goals, and just really felt the security in knowing that whatever I was doing, I was okay, and that was the most important thing, I think, to me.
That's so interesting. That it took you a while to get things going. I mean, we hear that all the time, right? There is that learning curve with wine. I mean, my story is very similar, but years, right? Am I understanding that correctly? Years before things kind of started humming along and you started reaching some of those goals and really becoming that budget nerd that you are today?
Yeah, it definitely. And I think it was when the podcast came out and I was listening to how y'all were your first couple of videos about your categories.
Oh, really?
It helped me, I think, figure out what I think was good practice versus what is just arbitrary. And
right.
But the kinds of things that are helpful, whatever helps you do your thing, that's okay too.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that's why community is so great, is just hearing how other people do it, how we're doing it, but also what we're doing right now. Somebody's going to watch this or listen to this and be like, oh, it's going to click for them, So I love that. You just got to hear how other people do it. And it sounds like, we hear from people all the time who are like in their 50s or 60s, and they're like, oh man, I wish I'd found this when I was in my 20s, like sounds like the instigating thing for you was, I have my own income now, and that's when you started using YNAB. Is that right?
Pretty much.
So like for a lot of people, I think they were like, "Oh man, I wish I was like you." So I'm so glad you found it right off the bat.
Yeah.
It's so cool. It's so cool. But yeah, of course, it takes a little while to for it to click. But I'm glad you stuck with it.
Well, should we get into it? Go through your categories. You can talk about them as much as you want. You can share some stories about them. We'll just kind of turn it over to you. How does that sound?
Sure. All right, let's get into it.
Well, first off, do you know how many total categories you have?
I have 39 categories.
Okay. So pretty tight by some standards, but not super small either. So
and you do use emojis.
I do. That is not super recent, but like in the past 6 months, I think I added those.
Nice.
And it actually,
I liked some of the ones you had.
it coincided with, I got a new laptop that is, it's a Mac, not a sponsored, but it has the emoji keyboard, so that made it.
It's easier to add
exactly.
Them. Yeah, I'm on a PC right now. Actually, literally, a Mac is coming in the mail today. Because everybody that works at YNAB is on a Mac, and I'm like the only guy on a PC. So, fine. If I was due for like a new computer from a company, so I'm getting a Mac.
Oh, you are?
I have to learn how to use it. I am. Yeah, I told you it's in the mail today, like literally out for delivery. So I'm like waiting for it.
Nice.
But there's a few things like that, like because. I do have an iPhone, and like all the emojis on Windows look awful. Like they look,
they do.
Just go back to, well, maybe they just look different. I don't know, but go back to like any budget nerds when I'm sharing my categories, and you can see the emojis. They just look terrible. So I'm looking
they
forward to
always look
that.
fuzzy to me. Like on Mac, they just look clean and crisp.
Exactly. I don't know what it is,
but,
man. But
speaking of your computer, Jasmin, I mean, I remember that from your initial email. You were super excited to talk about this awesome computer that you bought guilt-free.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Because you just had the money there in your computer replacement category.
Yes, so many things. I guess I didn't really talk about that, but yeah, some of my super major, like financial goals, I've only been able to meet really because I had YNAB. That was one of them. I knew that my laptop was like on its last legs, and to be fair, I had it since it was probably getting to be 6 years old, I think. So it was time.
That's so it gave you a lot. It served you well, but it's time.
Exactly. And so yeah, I had been saving for that and was able to buy a new laptop without worrying about it. Like I really had like every option available to me. So it was just a matter of like what the specs I wanted, which I was very cool. So
that's awesome.
That was just super
That's so
exciting.
fun.
Yeah. And some other stuff, like I mentioned that I had student loans, so I paid those off at the end of last year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All your undergrad student loans, is that
exactly.
right? Am I remembering correctly? Man, that is awesome, Jasmin. Because like to be able to say you did that while you're still a grad student is pretty incredible. Yep. Most people are like, oh, I'll worry about that later, but you just went for it.
Yeah, it was one of those things where and I think this will come up when I talk about my categories, but I'm a bit of a risk adverse person. So I do this thing where I save up for a long time. And then I spend big chunks of money once I know that it's not going to disappear. So that,
right.
Yeah. So that was one of the things, like, obviously I'm in grad school. So my loans were in deferment. So I didn't have to pay them right away. They were accruing interest though. So I was paying off like the interest, and I was like, I feel like I'm, just like throwing money away.
You're just spinning
Yeah,
your
exactly.
wheels.
So
Yeah, I could totally feel how that would be frustrating.
but I was
Yeah.
prepared to do it because I was like, grad school, you're not really making that much money. Ideally, when I graduate, have a lot, more income earning potential. So I was okay to like kind of be on my heels on that, as long as it meant that I could, if that gave me like financial security that I felt that I wanted and needed. But yeah, like so I had a category for it, like the like loan payoff sort of category, and it was just building and building, and then at the end of the year, I think I was looking at it
Right.
and looking at that category and looking at some of the like my other categories that I sort of savings categories, and I was like, I think if I just like combine some of these, I can just pay it off and just be done. And so I did. Yeah.
Nice.
So that was exciting.
That's so cool. So you did it all in one click of the button, like one
It
big
was, yeah.
chunk. I mean, of course, it took a while to say,
Yeah.
of course, but
Yeah.
but you
Yeah.
paid it all
It
at
was
once.
it was a big number.
Man, that must have been quite a moment to like push the button.
It was. It
Right?
was. It was very exciting. Yeah.
I can only imagine. Oh man, I feel like that happens a lot when you're paying off debt and you're working toward that goal. You get to like the very end and you're like, just
Yeah.
take everything.
Yeah.
just grab the money from all these other savings categories.
Every
and go for
category is
it.
fair game at that point.
Right.
And yeah, and then you have all this income, all this cash flow to rebuild. So it's good. But
Yeah.
that's awesome. Yeah. So I'm so glad, because now because I know we talked about this before, like when you're doing your dissertation, like it can be unpredictable how long it's going to take. So it's nice to know like you don't have to pay that interest, and it won't, and especially that it won't be accruing
Yeah.
at all. And when you get out, you can just have all your
Yes,
money.
yes.
That's great.
And I've been able to put it towards like a income replacement category. So that's also helped me feel like more stable, even when things are a little shaky quarter to quarter.
Nice.
Yeah. Cool. So the new laptop's a big deal, and then the student loans is an even bigger deal. And I'm sure more things will come up as we go. So yeah, why don't we jump into the categories now?
So yeah, just at the start, I had after I sent some of these images to you, Ernie, I had the strong urge to like reorganize my categories, like, and I fought it though, because I was like, I want to be real. This is really how it is.
Okay, well, as soon as we sign off, I hope you have some time to then rearrange things.
Oh yeah, I'm sure that I'll get some
I mean,
some
it always
tips. So
changes.
yeah, I'm excited about that. Okay, well,
Totally cool.
straight from the top. So I have financial priorities. And, I did a big reorganization about 6 months ago. Probably when I got my laptop and could do emojis, and I was like, let me just look this whole thing over.
Yeah.
So,
Once you start doing a little thing,
Yeah.
it all starts snowballing, and you do more and more. Yeah.
so some of these names are maybe a little different from what I like had been used to. But anyway, so right at the top, financial priorities. Income replacement. So that was what I just mentioned. Really big deal for me because certainly I need something that covers like tuition and like, so I need an academic position because they pay for like tuition and fees, which is certainly not something that I could come out of pocket for. But there are
Right,
different like
totally.
levels of what that could be. So that pay basically at different amounts. And it's a whole weird system, but you could have like a 50% like TA shift, which is like 50% of full time essentially. So the work that you're doing should take about 20 hours per week. So that's how it
Okay.
is. And generally, if you have a 50% position, you have that covers like a living wage, I think. But you can have like a 25% sort of TA position or, a greater position. And that is not necessarily enough to live off of, but it does cover tuition and fees.
Right.
So Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So they all cover each option covers tuition and fees, but then you just have to decide, okay, how much do I need to actually
Yes,
function in the world?
exactly.
So, and balancing with your research and all that. So
Yeah,
it's
totally.
tricky.
And
Yeah.
so that's why this income replacement one has been really important for me to make sure is like my general goal is to have like 3 months of income in there.
Okay.
And then that's when I can start focusing on other priorities. But once that's at that point, so that's what it's at now, thankfully, because I haven't had to, really draw on it. I've been able to get a good enough, like high enough paying position, like each quarter so far. So that's great.
Yeah. So I guess the points of our uncertainty are like you might not get the like if you're doing a 50% teaching, you might not get it, right? Like this
Right.
might not be one available. Or could it be like I need to really focus on my research this semester or this quarter? So I'm gonna cut back on TA, maybe go to the income replacement. Is that kind of the
Yes.
calculus you're
Yeah,
doing
that's exactly
every
it.
time?
Yeah. And especially for
Okay.
me now, like I'm trying to graduate. So I really need a lot of time to like focus and write.
Right.
It's a little different when
Yeah.
yeah.
love
So
that.
it honestly has given me a lot of freedom, I think, to have that option.
Yeah, exactly.
And yeah,
Yeah, it's huge because you can actually make decisions based on how much you want to focus on your research and not on how much do I need to live because you have this
Yeah.
this buffer. You know?
totally.
It's
And
huge.
I think
Love
too,
that.
like that's another thing that YNAB has been able to help me really dial in is like how much am I actually spending? Like, yeah, like in a month. How much do I actually need to live on? So
Right. Yeah. What does it cost to be
yeah.
you? Exactly.
And like different levels too. Like I could, if I really like need to skate by, like what can be sacrificed versus like what is just normal times, like comfortable
Right.
living versus yeah. And then I can save for those like special occasion sort of things. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it can be really helpful, even if you're not facing down like potential income loss, to just create a bare bones plan that just so you know, okay, I could be okay for this amount of months, based on this, like really, if I really had to cut back, just like creating that is just it's just helpful if you're one of those
Yeah,
people
I
that
know
needs that
a
security.
lot of folks to do
So it's
that.
kinda
They
cool.
use focused views. They set up a view for just the bare bones, the essentials.
yeah.
And they can just quick click on that and see, oh, here's the total.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Fair fancy. Nice plug for
True.
for that feature. It's a cool feature.
Yes.
Cool. And then you have Roth IRA, so that's just retirement.
Yeah,
stuff
and
going in
so
there.
again, being in grad school and not really making like tons of money, my contributions to my Roth IRA are a little spotty, but I'm hoping to. I have like
Right.
it's basically like there as somewhat aspirational, where it's like ideally I would want to be contributing
yeah.
like this much a month if if something happens where I actually need that income for something else, like then it's not like I still have it available. It's like a category here. So basically, again, this is like I said, there's going to be a theme. What I do is like I put money away like for a goal, and then once I feel like I'm in a good place,
Let it
like I contribute it, like I spend it.
Yep. I totally get that.
That makes a lot of sense in your
Yeah.
situation. Yeah. So you just you chuck money into the Roth IRA like all year, and then like at the end of the year or random times you like, how do I feel about sending this to the
Yeah,
Roth IRA? Is that
exactly.
how you do? Yeah, I like that.
And you may not feel
really
like you're
cool.
putting in a whole lot right now, but the time that you are allowing yourself for that money to sit. I mean, I'm so jealous. I didn't start my Roth IRA till way into adulthood, And you're just throwing these little, I mean,
Yeah,
they may
it's true.
seem like little amounts now, but boy, year after year after year,
Right.
it's going to compound.
Yeah, if you put in $100 now, that's like Ernie putting in like $20 because Ernie's so old.
I am. I am. No, I am.
We're exactly 10 years apart. I remind Ernie
I
every once in a while. Love that. That's really cool. Okay. So those are like, I love that that's so tight too. Like these are your big priorities. You got two of them.
Yeah, I'm not very
there.
good at
Yeah.
multitasking, just in general, and so like that was the case too for my savings. Like like when I was paying down my student loans, like that was pretty much the only thing I was like, it was income replacement and then student loans, like was where my money was going. So Roth IRA was getting nothing at that point. Yeah.
Right, totally. So we got financial priorities. What's next?
Next is the credit card payments, which I think that's the default, right? Like if you have a credit card, it shows up there. Yeah. Okay. So
yeah, I don't even think you can change the name of that. It's just like, this is what it is. Deal with it.
yeah, which is fine.
And that's your Costco card.
It is. Yes.
I saw that when you sent over your screenshots, and instantly I had this huge smile on my face. I
didn't know you were such a Costco fan.
Oh my goodness. We need a whole episode to my love for Costco, but we just got a Costco in our area, Jasmine.
Ooh.
And I was like, oh, what is this Costco thing? And I, put out some feelers here at work, and people were like, oh my goodness, Costco's amazing. So I dipped my toe, and now I'm just like all in. And I got the credit card, and I love Costco. Love it. So I saw you also have the Costco card. I'm like, oh my goodness, that's fun.
Yes.
We don't have a Costco, and I have like 4 kids, so I feel like I'm like made for Costco, but we have a Sam's Club, which is like the Walmart Costco, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So, but we never
the same.
Apparently it's not the same.
Not even close.
Yeah. So maybe one day we'll get one of those too.
That's fascinating. Ernie, you're so quick with that. I'm like, oh, okay. Speaking from experience.
You're like, I want to talk about Costco. I'm ready.
I just zeroed in on the Costco credit card payment category.
Yes.
So
no, I love it. I had a credit card. My bank is Bank of America, which is, fine, standard bank.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I got one too.
It was one of those things. See, I always want to be responsible with money, but for a long time, I feel like I wasn't making any money because I was just like in college and
right. It's hard when you're like, I remember that vibe when I was in college, and I'm like, I had like a part-time job, but it wasn't really, it just was a little bit of income. And I was like, I want to like invest in something.
Right.
You know what I mean? But like, I don't make any money.
Yes. I know. That's
you have all this energy, but you have like no income.
So, I used to make, this is my, like how, but like nerdy. I used to make like plans. Like I would write it out. Like when I was like making this much money, like I would read like financial, I guess, like blog posts about like what you should do with your money. Like how much should you be saving versus investing in that. And I was like, I had no money. I don't know why. I was so obsessed.
It's the best way to be though. Because like, again, right off the bat, as soon as you do start making income, you were ready.
Yeah.
You were ready to go for it.
Yeah.
So it's so great.
But yeah, so I had some random credit card through them to build my credit. And paid it off in full. I mean, I still do this, still have these habits, but I don't even remember why exactly. I think I wanted a credit card that just had better benefits than the one that I currently had. And there's a Costco in my area. I was going, this was really great because I live with a bunch of people. And so, I am single family, like household.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, like, you're single, like, how do you handle like the gallon of mustard, like whatever from Costco, Like,
yeah, the things that I buy are non-perishable generally or freezable,
right?
But yeah, so also I have housemates, so it's like we're going through toilet paper, we're going through paper towels, like we're going through, I mean, like soap, like laundry detergent, things
sundries.
Like that.
Yeah,
exactly, or sundries, and so. Yeah, like I just went on a Costco run the other day. And also the gas is just the cheapest anywhere you can get it. So I like make a special trip. It's in the next town over, but it's like a 15-20 minute drive. So sometimes like when my tank is real low, I'll go over there and I just know that I'm saving and also getting points. So yeah, that was the benefit of the specifically the Costco cashback rewards card. Getting that cash back for everyday purchases.
and I feel like having one card is very intentional. Is that something you're trying to maintain, the simplicity with just the one card?
Absolutely. Yeah. Exactly. And it's funny because I have a friend who I got on YNAB. But he was like, he also has a Costco cashback card, and I think one day he was like, how did you get so much money like on your like cashback credit because they basically cash it out like at like once annually. And
I see.
yeah, and I was like, it's because it's everything. Like I pay for everything with that, so it really adds up.
Oh, I see. Yeah, because if you spread it out on multiple cards, it doesn't look as good because it's not all at once.
Yeah,
I'm
and
still,
cool.
I mean, I've been talking about this for so many episodes, trying to trim back on my credit cards. Now I think there's, I don't know, too many to my name, but I want just one. I want to keep it so simple.
You'll get there.
I'll
Do you still
get
have was it Hilton that you were
Hyatt.
Hyatt's that you were particularly annoyed about? Yeah.
Yes. I do have a plan though to eliminate that card, and it's gonna take me another 6 months or so. But
Oh man,
the plan is in
extricate
process.
yourself.
yeah, it sounds intense, very complicated.
It's all. I mean, that's all by design, I guess. Right?
Yeah,
So that's crazy.
yeah. Well, I know
Cool.
people who play like the credit card game, for lack of a better word, but very successfully. Like they get a lot of rewards.
Yeah, you
for
can do it.
So it's just
It just takes quite a bit of work and
Yeah.
Yeah,
pay
I just got to
attention.
that point in my life. I'm like, I just don't want to do this with my free time
Well,
anymore.
you did that for a while. You did the
I
whole
did.
churning thing, right, Ernie?
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's. I mean, it's just time, So
Yep. Well, and we
whether or
don't
not you
use
wanna do it.
hotels as much as we used to. So just the regular spend that we do on the card gets us enough points to get the hotels that we use every year. So
yeah.
Yeah, we're like 100% VRBO or Airbnb people here, so I feel like that wouldn't even be good for me.
That makes sense. Yeah, to have.
Yeah,
like,
when you got like a toddler, going to the Hyatt is not fun at all. So I need a house, please. Thanks.
yeah.
okay, well, thank you for allowing me to just kind of get my Costco fix there.
Oh yeah,
I
no,
appreciate
I
that.
love Costco.
Not a sponsor,
No.
but check it out. I guess
yeah.
sounds like it's a good deal.
Yeah, it's backed by Reddit. The good people of Reddit also had a lot of good things to say.
I trust that.
Yeah.
I trust that. Like that's where it's at.
Yeah, and another thing, like just when you have something as simple as like cash back, like it, I don't have to have as much like brand loyalty, I guess, and so I'm always like shopping around for deals, and so that's just helpful. I can just apply it anywhere, really.
Right.
So
Because it's
true.
just like cash back to anywhere kind of situation.
Yeah.
That's nice. Yeah. That way you don't have to think about it. It's like It's like I know like some people are like, oh, I got this one for dining out and this one for gas,
Right.
and then like, ugh, that sounds like a lot of work.
Yeah,
I don't want to do that.
Yes.
yeah. Keep it simple.
Cool. All right.
All right, next.
What's up next?
Next is bills. This is also shockingly a small category, but that's because I changed my living situation recently, and it cut down. So first I have rent.
Nice.
I also have these. This was another thing, like the date where it was due. I think that's something I got from a Heard It From Hannah video.
Yeah. We did that for. Yeah, that's definitely a big thing
Yeah.
for sure. It's just like put the date or even like the amount right in there in the name. It's nice too.
Yeah, and I think because I think I watched like the different kinds of like category organization strategies, and there's like 5 in there. Really great video, but one of them was sort of organized by when things are due. And so I tried that for a little while, but it didn't make as much sense to me as just like these sort of more broad categories. So, but I think that's a hold over from when I was trying that out. So
Yeah, totally. Because I think now, at one point, man, I guess it was like 2 or 3 years ago, we kind of incorporated that with the progress bars. But some people don't like the progress bars off, so they still put the name in the date in the name. Yes, the date in the name. So yeah, it's still a thing. It's still alive and well, and I love it. So
yeah, these things you get used to. But anyway, so I've got rent first and foremost. And so a lot of the simplicity comes from that because basically where I live now, our utilities are included. So that
Nice.
is a real blessing. I got to
that's
get
nice.
rid of.
It's nice to take a shower and not have to like worry about like, well, how long is my shower taking?
I live in California and in the Central Valley, so it gets real hot. So that's really and at the previous place I used to live in, I paid. So we split bills. I paid the PG&E bill. Like it was in my account, and then we, you know, Venmo each other. But there are times, like, I feel like I became obsessed with like how long like the AC was running, like how hot it could be before we turned it on, and you know, I'm glad I don't have to do that anymore. Because
you just don't worry about
Yeah,
it. Yeah,
but-
it makes a big difference.
Yeah.
I mean, even if you don't like, yeah, I'm sure it's not like the Arctic in your house, but it's just in case your landlord is listening. But like,
Right. Yes. Landlord.
but it's still like
Reasonable.
nice just not to think about it. you know?
Yeah, or not have to fight over like 2 degrees, like, you know.
Right. It's like it's taken care of. Yeah. Even if it ends up like costing you a little more, I feel like it's worth it, just because like, you know, it's just simpler. You know?
Absolutely. So there's that. So that got rid of like, you know, I used to have other utilities in there, but now I don't. So one line.
Yeah, like water, electricity,
Yeah.
gas, maybe even too. Yeah, all sorts of
Yeah,
stuff.
PG and E where we are, and that's most of it. Gas and electric.
Nice.
But okay, so moving on, I got my car loan, which I consider to be a bill just because I pay, you know, the minimum every month. So I guess now I have a little bit more cash flow. I could probably start contributing to that because I used to have like a debt pay down category that had my student loans and my car loan in there. And then I mean, ultimately, like just internally, I was treating it like a bill, so it just made sense to put it there. Like I wasn't contributing any extra to it.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to think of it until you want to like actively go after
Right.
it. It just makes sense as a bill. Yeah.
So, and then I have USAA insurance, so car insurance, renter's insurance, and I think that's what they cover. So I have that there.
Nice.
And then Copilot. So they actually just changed their name, but it's a fitness app.
I heard an ad for this. Wait, what are they called now?
Trainwell.
Trainwell. Yeah. I was wondering why I know like Microsoft has a product called Copilot. I think maybe that's why.
Yeah.
I don't know. I was wondering, do you know why they changed the name? Was it like a lawsuit
Not because
or
I'm
something?
like involved or anything, but they sent it out
Right.
to the
Just
people.
customer,
Yeah,
yeah.
so it basically because there's like other sort of like AI assistants like apps and stuff out there that they're like we're just gonna try to
It's like slightly connected.
yeah we're just gonna try to distinguish ourselves from that, which is very true. I did
Makes
start
sense.
noticing like a lot of like things called Copilot, and I was like weird, but so.
Yeah, I feel like it's a good name for like some kind of AI related
Right.
thing, but yeah, this is like you have a personal trainer that's virtual, that kind
Exactly.
of vibe, that whole product.
Yeah, and that's been really
that's
great.
awesome. I love that.
Really
Nice.
fun. Yeah, I know y'all had talked about some of your like fitness apps and
Yeah,
stuff. Yeah, this one.
yeah, I have one that I think it's called Fitbot is what it's called. That's what I use, but and it just tells you what to do. It's not a person, but it's funny you mentioned this. Maybe it's like the universe is telling me to try it because I literally saw an ad for it on some YouTube video. And I'm like, oh, this is kind of cool to like talk to an actual
Yeah.
person, but not have to like physically be with an actual person. It seems like kind of a happy middle.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly. I think the happy middle is a good way to put it because so I did like a lot of sports as a kid and stuff, and so like I wanted to make sure that I was still doing like still active, but not really having like tons of time to like go to the gym. So I have a little home gym, and it's been really great because they basically they're like, what equipment do you have access to, and then they make a little workout around that. Because I was doing the whole like trying just the effort of like trying to come up with a workout on my own that was like solid, and but also I get bored very easily, so having to do that like
Right.
every
You wanna change
couple
it
of
up.
weeks was like it was a lot. So it's worth
it's
it
a lot
to
of
me
work.
to like basically pay for somebody to do that for me, but then I do it on my own, and yeah, just a happy medium there.
Yep.
Yeah, that's perfect because I don't know. If you're a personal trainer, I love you. You're great, but like, I don't really want somebody hanging around while I'm working out. It's like I want to put on headphones and tune out, but like, but I also want somebody to make it for me. So that's pretty cool. Yeah, I love
Yeah,
that.
again, not sponsored.
And you just
Not sponsored. But
yeah, we're talking about a lot of products and companies. We're not sponsored by anything besides YNAB'er, but if you find it compelling, go for it. And then you got like Netflix and such in the monthly subscriptions.
Yeah,
there.
it's interesting that I have a monthly subscriptions like category, And I think I got this tip from you, Ben, because they used to be all separated out. But then also some of my subscriptions I do have separated out. So I don't know what that's about. Maybe you just need to reorganize.
You're in the process. You're in the process of combining, kind of like Ernie with his credit cards.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I get it. Yeah.
Oh, I think, what it might be is like there's some subscriptions that I'm like that I feel like I could potentially like cut back on. And maybe those are the ones that are in there. Yeah, like
that makes sense. Yeah. Yeah, I know I've heard from a lot of people talk about like just kind of churning their subscription. Like if they're watching a show on Netflix, they'll have that on and then they'll turn it off and watch a show on Hulu or Disney Plus or whatever. And like I'm like, that's a good idea. But then I have kids and they're watching like every single thing ever. So
right.
Cable
Cable 2.0.
But yeah, there's like something you can turn it on and off. I think is a good way to go. But again, it's just more work. What do you want to do?
That's a good point. Okay, so that's my bills category. So those are things.
That's five categories in bills.
Yeah,
I'm incredibly jealous.
Very simple.
Yeah,
very simple.
And I guess I distinguish bills as things that are like every month this happens, and so
makes
those
sense.
are all coming out. All right, and then we got the Mondo non-monthly expenses category.
Oh yeah,
this is where it gets big. So, I think these are probably ordered just like when I made the category or for posterity, and not for any other like use reason or anything more than arbitrary. Truly,
yeah, it's just random.
So, got my car registration. That's always fun. When I think Ernie, you told a story about like that was maybe one of the first like non-monthly things that like snuck up on you when you start. I don't remember.
Yeah, totally.
Okay. I'm a YNAB budget nerd super fan. Anyway, but
you're like, I know more about you. Yeah, I met somebody like in the wilds, like at my church, and I was with my mom, and she recognized me, which has never happened before, and you were just chatting, and my mom was like, he has 4 kids. She's like, oh, I already know. And I was like, you know a lot about me.
and a dog.
Well,
yeah.
I do.
She's like, yeah, I know a lot about you.
I do share that story a lot, though. So, I think a lot of people know that. That's one of the first true expenses I left off the list.
Yeah. So every time it comes up, I'm like, I'm prepared. I'm ready. I think also
it feels good, doesn't it?
It does. It really does. And I think too, my friend who got me onto YNAB also like has like their partner was, not to put them on blast, but their partner was I think in charge of paying the car registration bill, and they had the category, they had like just the right amount of money, and then they were late on paying it, and so they had to like pay more. And they're like, I had it.
You could be completely prepared, but you still have to actually pay the
So that one sticks out in my memory.
I love that.
So car registration, and then I have auto maintenance.
And then just another car one.
Yeah. But this is auto maintenance, which just the stuff you got to do to keep your car running. I recently had like taken mine in for some stuff, not anything that was like affecting its functioning, but just some sort of, like one of my doors wasn't locking properly and other random stuff was making a weird noise.
Yeah.
So I took it in, and it was to a shop where like I'd been before, and I know they do their job very well. Like, I feel like there's like the triangle of like quality where it's like, is it cheap? Is it fast? Or is it good? Like, this is one of the shops where it's like not cheap, but it is pretty quick, and they are very high quality. So I was like, let me just take it there. I know they'll solve whatever the issue is. So it was like kind of an expensive bill for what I think they ended up doing, but I had all the money there. So it was just such a good feeling. Good. And I feel like that's the
really
story of this non-monthly expenses category. There's another one. Yeah. Moving.
That's really good. That's a really good way of thinking of it. Is it cheap, fast, or quality?
Yeah. And I won't claim.
Yeah. It's like, how much hassle do you want?
Yeah. And I won't claim I didn't come up with that, but I don't remember exactly where I found it. But yeah, just stuck together.
It's out there in the world.
Yeah.
Cool.
And then medical. So just medical expenses. I have contacts. So that happens like every year. And then, you know, like dental comes out of here and then just any of those surprise things. So that's an important category to have. Technology replacement. Yeah, so this is the one where I got
This
my
is where
laptop
your computer came from.
and that's the emoji. Because it'll be, yeah.
Love that.
So, but anytime, like, it's interesting because sometimes I'll forget that these categories exist, like, because I'm just funding them every month. Like, it just happens automatically. And then I'll, like, need something.
Right.
Like, the other day, I was like, you know, I want a new e-reader, and I wanted to buy a Kindle. And so I was looking, you know, I was just thinking about, like, what budget is, or, like, what categories is going to come out of. And then I remembered that I had this technology replacement one. And I was like, yeah.
Yes.
It covered it. I was like, I have plenty of money in there. So it was just great. Yeah.
That's such a good feeling. It's just like a little gift to yourself in the future.
And such a true budget nerd, right? You just buy this awesome new computer, then the next month, I'm sure you immediately started saving for the next one that you're going to buy in another 6 years, right? So month after month.
or whatever else little thing comes up too, you know?
Yeah, all the little, and I had, so yeah, like I do this thing too, where when I make like a big purchase, like it kind of unlocks something in me. Like I feel like I'm in like save mode most of the time, and then like I'll spend on something, and then I'm like, oh yeah, and now like there's this other thing that I wanted to get, and this other thing that I wanted to improve.
You're like, that felt good.
I spend and save in equal measure, I think, but it's very punctuated.
Yeah, it's good. That's exactly
So,
Any tips on striking that balance? Because you do seem like you're a saver first, but you are able to spend that money, and it seems like you're able to spend it pretty easily. Like you don't hem and haw when the time comes to drop a wad of cash on a new computer. You're just like, nope, I'm gonna buy it.
Yeah.
Any tips there?
I think just doing your research helps. I think like regret comes when you're not sure. So just being sure on that it's something that I think actually honestly like the saving process kind of like helps me realize that like that's something that's important to me. I think like it's like I'm saving for this specific thing, or like this kind of like broad category of item. And so when it comes time to spend it, like it feels fine to be like, this is something that's going to improve my life and I have the money. So yeah, I think just between that, like recognizing that like giving it the category makes it a priority in your mind, and then also like I don't know. I think over the years, honestly, it's just like kind of doing this budgeting consistently has just like built more trust inside myself. That like, you know, you're not like, I'm not spending frivolously, even if it's a lot of money, like it's intentioned. And I trust that I'm able to stick to a budget. Like, even if this money is like leaving my bank account, like I know it will come back because I'm being very intentional with how I'm spending my money. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Love
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, like you can drop a big chunk of change on the student loans or on the computer and not be worried because you have all this experience over years that have proven to you you're going to be okay.
Exactly.
You know, that's really cool.
Okay, so next is taxes, and yeah, I just spend for that. Like so of course I have like a new job every quarter essentially, so it's like.
Right. Yeah. So you're doing your withholding or whatever is just like a mess, I'm sure.
It's honestly, like, no it's not so bad if you have like an academic position because they take taxes out and it's like very normal. Like you get a W-2, like that's very standard. But when you're on fellowship, that's where things get crazy. Cause like basically you get money, like you get a stipend, but they don't take taxes out. And then, yeah,
you get like a grant. Do you have to pay taxes on like a grant? How does that work? I'm so curious about that. Like, because it's not like income. I guess it is. That's confusing because it's like, but it's not charity either. I'm like, what is this?
What is it
you know
called?
what I mean?
So it's like basically if you have, we have like two different kinds of support. One is like research like money, research grants, research funding.
That's specifically for like the science
Yeah, or
equipment
like
and
mileage to
well,
travel or, like to your field site. And then you have like support funding. And so that's the money that basically is like your income. And that's the stuff that's taxable. So you have basically like if it's dispersed to your like in like your bank account, like that's taxable. But if it's but if it's like if it goes like if it's research funding, usually there's like an account that the school has that's where that money lives and that's where you spend out of.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so that makes a lot of sense. So if it's for you to live, then you have to pay taxes. If it's for you to actually do the research itself,
Exactly.
then you don't have to.
Yeah. So honestly, I mostly do TA ships, so where they take the taxes out. So I usually get a tax return actually, but I think that's just there just in case. Again,
Risk adverse.
Yep. I have that. So I have this too because I had a big tax bill. I have never been able to figure out withholding like ever. Like 1 year I'll get all this money back, and the next year I'll owe all this money. So this year I owed a lot of money, and I adjusted my withholdings. But like I'm nervous about it for next year, so I literally have a category that's just like I think it has like a shrug emoji, and it's like
don't know.
what's gonna happen. And throughout the next like 6 months, Caitlin and I are gonna like chuck some money at it just in case we end up
because it's stressful.
Again. But I think we got it worked out. I do the calculator I do the IRS calculator, and then it's still wrong. I don't know. Like, anyway,
We should just.
I mean, it's like I need an accountant or something.
True.
I don't know.
There's other countries like in the Western world where they just do the taxes.
No.
Like how do we do that?
You know how much I owe. It's like, yeah, it's my favorite, like some skit on YouTube where they're just like, they're like, oh, we know how much you need. It's like, can you just tell me? Like, no, you have to figure that out. What if I get it wrong? Then you're going to jail.
I know. Yeah.
Anyways, it's wild. Taxes. It's a whole thing. And then you have the little tree for YNAB, I see.
Love that. Yeah, so I think that when I was mentioning the difference between like monthly subscriptions versus like these other like month thing, I don't know. Well, I guess this is a non-monthly expense because it's annual. So it's there. But I would never combine that into a category because it's like, I'll always fund this. I want to see it, and I'll always fund it. Like, it's never going to go away. So, yeah.
I love that.
So I have a couple of those coming up.
And then you have another product that I love.
Yes.
Oh, I love this one
password.
too.
Yeah. It has really, it's revolutionized my password game.
Yes.
I think there was just one day where I was like, I got
huge.
probably like the next, I don't know, it was like Twitter or something where like, your password's been compromised. So I'm like, I can't keep doing this. So,
right. Yeah, and you've like used that same password like 1,000
that
times.
was the next thing.
Like,
it was really an enlightening experience where they're like, because like Google, like on Google, you can like there's a page where it shows you like your like basically every service like Google, Apple has their own sort of like password manager account now, but like you can go to them and be like, what are my passwords on all these accounts, and like they show you which one where it's like all the same, and it's just over the years where you're like. I have my one strong password that I use for everything, and it's like that is not how it works. So, still need to go through a lot of those to clean that up. But I feel a lot better.
And it's fun,
yeah,
because in one password, I don't know the section you need to go, but they know all your passwords, right? And they give you a score. On the strength of those passwords, and that's fun. That's almost like Age of Money kind of thing.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah, it is. It is.
Yeah.
It's like gamification.
I have to check that out.
So if you don't have a password manager,
do it.
Go get a
it
password manager. Your life will be better. Doesn't have to be one password. That's my favorite. I used LastPass for a long time.
I think this was another one where I was like,
there's
what do the good people of Reddit have to say? Because there's a lot on the market, and so
Yeah,
for sure. Yeah, I think that's
and I do have the paid version because it's across multiple devices, essentially, is the only difference. But that's where it is the most important because I'm like bouncing between my phone and my laptop, and so
yeah, you need it everywhere. Yeah, because I have no idea what any of my
Not
passwords
anymore.
are because they're all
Yeah.
random.
That's the thing.
Yeah. I'll even do like, it's like, what's your father's middle name? And I'll be like, my father's middle name is asterisk
Ooh.
AB 12397. You know,
Ooh,
those will be random too.
That's next level.
Those are kind of fun.
Truly.
Yeah, that's next level.
Yeah.
That's next level. Yeah.
It's like you can't get like socially engineered because it's like I don't even know. Like
Yeah, exactly. If somebody's like, "What's your father's middle name?" and I'm like, "Well, I can tell you, but it's not gonna matter because you're still not getting into my paycheck account." Anyway.
wow, I had never thought to do that. That's
Me either.
I think I saw like some comic where they did that. I was like, "Oh yeah," it was like literally that scenario.
I don't
where,
think
like,
I could do it. I would feel like I'm
like-
breaking some rule. Like I'm gonna get in trouble.
I know. It feels a little wrong, doesn't it? It's like, what was their childhood pet name? And it's like Bork Dork, Bork 6972. You know. Anyway, if you know, you know. Some people are like, "What are they talking about?" They don't have a password manager. The passwords are random, completely random, so you don't even know what they are. Anyways. And then you got the Costco membership.
Hey-o.
There it is.
Costco.
There you go, Ernie.
So yeah, I do that thing where I pay for the Costco membership. It's $10 a month, you know, $120 a year. But like my cash back could cover the cost of it. So I don't know. I sometimes like when I get that cash back reward, I'm like, I want to spend that money on things that are not this membership. So
I mean,
I don't know.
it doesn't matter which way, you know, it's all your money. So do whatever makes you feel better.
But I'm the same way. This is my first year with
exactly.
Costco. And I was like, okay, well, I'm going to be getting that big cash back. And I know it's going to cover the 120, but I'm like, no, I want to leave that for something else, possibly. So I'm setting aside $10 every month for the Costco membership. Yep, same thing.
Yeah.
It does.
It feels better. Yeah, it
Yes.
feels more fun at the
Yes.
end of the year when you get that.
Can do
that big
whatever I
check.
want with
Yeah,
it.
it's like finding
Yeah.
$20 in your pocket, you know, that kind of thing.
Oh yeah.
Not that me and Ernie can do that because we have cash accounts, but
I know. That is some I remember that episode and I was like, huh, fascinating.
You're like,
am
not
I
doing
using
that.
much cash? There is always this balance between like wanting to have I don't know, like what flips the switch between when it's something that adds more work versus when it simplifies. And it's just if I'm working with cash more, I would.
You don't worry about it. Yeah.
At this current point, I'm very about the plastic.
Yep, all on the
It's
Costco
allowed. It's allowed. On the Costco card, that's right.
as much as possible.
There you go. All right.
Yep. And then I've got my website domains, plural, which is a little embarrassing because I have not set up any of the websites. I've like hoarded two like domain names essentially.
That's a fun hobby, though. I get it.
You know, it's
You
important.
gotta stake your claim, you know? Yeah.
I do. And I have a name that is not very it's very common, frankly. And so like eventually when I graduate, basically the idea, like me and some of my friends were like, oh, we should get websites because that's what you do. And so I was like, okay, well, I found a domain that like fits my name like now. And then I had like there's like Jasmin Green PhD for when I graduate.
Oh, I
so
love
I was
that.
like, yeah, so now I was like, well, I had to have both.
Yeah, go for it.
And they're pretty cheap, so I don't feel too bad about that. But yeah, it's just
nice to
ironic because but I haven't set up a single website. So I don't know. Maybe that'll be in my 2024 bucket list. Like I should do
go.
that since I'm paying for them. But yeah. But there they are.
You're reserving your spot. It's real estate is what it is, you know.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Cool. And then just below that is my ESA membership. So that's the Ecological Society of America. It's like the large society for my field of science. And I pay a membership for that every year. So that's just saving up for that. And okay. And then some of these, I recently moved them to non-monthly. They used to be in living expenses, but I just realized that like they were more like things that I'd save up for and then spend as opposed to The floating bubble. Yeah. But there's something that I saved up for, and then like spent, as opposed to the living expenses, which I'll get more into it later, but those are more like use it or lose it, I guess, kind of categories. So anyway, I moved these up. But so I have one for haircuts, and just because I was like, if I fund this, then I won't feel as bad like going to get kind of frequent haircuts.
Yeah. You recognize that's something you want to do, and so you made it happen. Yeah. That's good.
Exactly. And yeah, I guess that's the story of all these ones coming up. But clothing, I was like, I should just fund this, like, for real. Instead of, when it comes to be like, I need a new pair of pants. Like, it's like, how bad do we really need a new pair of pants? Instead, like, just buy it. Like, you have the money, you saved for it. Just do the thing.
Yeah, just enjoy it. I love that.
Yeah. And then gifting, I have a couple of, so like Mother's Day, Father's Day, like Christmas, me and my family, we have, so I have 5 siblings. And so a couple years ago, I want to say, getting close to a decade at this point, we decided that we would do Secret Santa for Christmas instead of like everybody getting a gift for everybody else, because it was just getting like,
it's too much. Yeah.
It was too much. And, more and more, like, I'm the youngest, actually. And so, like, the older I get, the, like, less it makes sense because we're all just earning our own money. You know what I mean? Like, we just buy things for ourselves. So
yeah, it's like if you want something, you're just going to buy it. So
right. Yeah.
It gets harder and harder to, like, think of gifts for people,
Totally. So I have a couple of different like occasions that go into the gifting category. And then also, if I like randomly decide to buy something for someone, it usually comes out of there. Yeah. And I have Holiday Spirit, which gets the 2 emojis.
I love the
for
name.
The 2 holidays. Yeah, I was decorating my house like for Christmas this past year, and I was like, I really want to buy some stuff. And I was like, that's really important. It was just that moment that I was like, this is actually important to me. And so like next year I want to be prepared to be able to like, buy like a Christmas tree skirt, like just the random.
Right.
Like,
Are you a big decorator then around the holidays? Or you put stuff up and all that?
Yeah. Or I honestly would like to be more. I think there's a couple of holidays that I'm really into. Like I really like Halloween and I really like Christmas. So, yeah, everything else I'm like, whatever. But
like, whatever.
those ones, I feel like you gotta.
That's where it's at.
The holiday spirit really takes me for those. So.
I love that.
Yeah.
Makes me think of Spirit Halloween. The story.
Yes.
Y'all have those out there?
Yes, we do.
They just like
love
show
them.
up like a ghost in some abandoned shop. And I just like going in there because it's just such a vibe. I like never buy anything, but it's just
same.
It's
just to walk
vibe.
around and look.
Yeah, it's like they come up at a certain time of year and it's all special, But you know what we're talking about, Ernie?
I don't.
There's I think it's called Spirit Halloween. It's like the big chain now, but like they're seasonal and they only show up around Halloween. And so like if there's like an abandoned storefront in your town, they just like show up there.
I think I've seen them like at the mall here.
Yeah, and they just disappear.
Yeah.
Yep. I think I've seen them or someone similar to them in the mall parking lot, or maybe actually in the mall itself.
Yeah,
interesting.
It's just funny. It's just funny vibe.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just like it's such a thing of a certain time of year and a feeling, So
yeah, it really punctuates the season.
Exactly. Yeah, they're funny.
Yeah.
And cosmetics, is that kind of like the haircuts where you're just like, get the thing, man, get the stuff.
Yeah, and I think they're like, so I don't know, I call it cosmetics, but it's sort of just any general like self-care thing that is a little bit more spendy, comes out of there.
Like massages maybe or anything like that. Me and Ernie, we've said before.
I'm not at that level yet.
You're not a
massage would be a special occasion.
That'd be real,
come out of
real
something.
fancy.
Yeah.
Real fancy. Yeah, Ernie and I have expressed that we love the massage every once in a while, it's just.
Yeah. I just booked a massage seriously like 20 minutes before we went live here.
Good for you, Ernie.
Nice.
I love that. I feel like, here's where I'm at with massages, though. I feel like it's like you either need to do them regularly or not do them at all because they just hurt if you don't do them like every like I have a neighbor
Possibly.
who does it once a month, and I'm like, how, I don't know. Anyways, she does it once a month, and I feel like it actually would be beneficial then. Anyways, massage
Yeah, get
service
used to that.
in the comments, show up and let us know we're doing it wrong.
Yes. Yeah.
Cool.
So I don't know. Like, and I have like random like hair products that are
Yeah.
like a little more higher end and things like that. So it usually comes out of there. And then I've got bulk goods in partnership with my Costco membership there. But where I go to Costco, I get all the stuff. And it comes out of there. I think I need to like step up how much I'm putting away for it, because sometimes it's not quite enough
never
to cover.
enough.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's maybe a part like the timing, like it, like how long has it had to like accrue
Yeah.
versus like how much do you
Maybe
spend at that bulk purchase? Still,
You might just
sinking
need to
that
do
timing.
like just a cash infusion, like just give it a bunch right now, and like not necessarily put in more every month, but just like give it a big chunk of money, and it'll last. Like it'll just fix the cash flow problem that you might be having there. You know?
I thought,
Yeah.
Ben, you were going to recommend a spreadsheet. I'm like, oh my goodness, here we go.
This whole thing could be a spreadsheet. you could project out for 7 years.
Yeah, I like
It
the
is-
cash
I mean-
infusion
No, I'm
idea
done
a
with
lot
that.
better, though.
That is a good idea. Yeah,
I've
I mean
had that
some of those
before, like-
things.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like some of those things like you buy. Like I bought a case of like toothbrush heads, and it's like you only change those every 3 months. So I was like, this is gonna last me
You don't
for
think
like a
about
year
them,
and a
yeah.
half. Like so many.
I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay, so that's all the non-monthly, yeah?
It's all the non-monthly. So yeah, definitely that was the biggest category I have. But that's life.
Okay.
Cool. That's life. So what's up next? We got living expenses or
Living expenses. So yeah, I think I just kind of distinguish these a little bit, like sort of use it or lose it. I noticed, so I haven't been in the budget like there. I noticed that there was a change in like how the category, like the savings,
Targets.
or the targets are.
yeah. They're all
was
it all is
confused.
pretty much the same, but we're no longer there's no target types anymore. It's just point up's just like, what do you want to do?
Yeah.
Because they're asking somebody who's brand new to YNAB, please memorize all these target types was like too much. So
Yeah.
so yeah,
So-
you just kind of it just kind of walks you through what you need to do. But yeah, I know
Mm-hmm.
if you've been using YNAB for a while, you're like, what's going on?
Right. Yeah.
Things
And
have changed.
like my budget had been really dialed in, so I just like fund the things. And so
Yeah, you don't
I
look
think
at
I
it for a
wanted
while,
to change
yeah.
one kind of recently, and I was like, wait, where's needed for spending? And like,
Well, I've got a
monthly
blog post for
expenses.
you if you want to nerd out on that.
Yes.
I did write one, so
Yes,
But for
yes, I
these
would love to.
categories, just looking at them, you're probably choosing that refill up to option, right? These are like the use it or lose
Yeah.
it, I think you mentioned.
yeah,
Categories.
Like you
Makes
only
sense.
refill up to the amount. Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
So that's the
exactly.
distinguishing for you is like these are like you don't let them build up if you don't use them. Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, there's some that are like kind of break that rule. Like I think transportation, because so that's like gas, parking, because I spend a lot more like in the summer than I do generally in the winter and fall.
Right. Seasonal stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. So that one I think just builds over, month to month. I just like contribute the same amount. But
Okay.
yeah, most of the other ones
Cool.
are the same.
And I see you have sundries here as well. So you you use my favorite word.
Yes, sundries. And I also I think have changed the name of that category so many times.
It's
It's
so
just
tough.
the weird catch-all random stuff.
hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
I think
why I
I had the
I just throw it in groceries now. I don't have to deal with
do you?
that naming convention
Oh.
anymore.
Combined them,
Yeah.
Ernie. Really? Oh,
I
that's
recently
a whole
separated them.
Thing. Okay.
And yeah, and I think because for me, I don't know. I think I had them combined because I think there was a Nick True, when you had Nick True on, either that or I'd watched a separate video of his. But he was like, for beginners, just if you go to Target, where you have all these things you need to split, if that's
Yeah.
really tripping you up, just make a category for it, and that
Yeah,
helps
if you
me a
don't
lot
like-
actually.
Some people are like, I never want to do a split
Yeah.
transaction ever in my life. And I'm like, that's fair.
I was getting
Yeah.
sick of them.
Yeah. And so,
I
but
kind of
now
like them, I'll be honest.
I felt like, right. Like I felt like I was finally at a point where I was like paying enough close attention that I was like, I can handle a split transaction now.
Uh-huh.
So I split those categories. And I think another reason was because like sometimes the sundries I can like stretch and I can make it to the next month. But I feel like for a grocery item like food, I gotta get that. Like so it just it kind of changed my behavior, I think, a little bit to have it separate where it's like if I go to the grocery store or like Target or whatever and I'm like, oh, I think I was running low on like shampoo or something. If I don't have enough money in that category, like maybe I'll wait and then I'll go home and like double check because I also do that thing where it's like I buy it and then I get home and I put it away and there's another one sitting there and I was like, why did I do that?
Yep. Been there.
So yeah, so it kind of reined that in a little bit. Yeah.
That makes sense. Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
And you mentioned transportation, and then you got
Yes.
home improvements. So
Home
yeah, tell me about home
improvements.
improvements. What does that mean for you?
Yeah, for me, so this is another thing where it's like, I don't know what to call this category, but kind of the like consumables versus like durables. It's a little bit of that framework where this is more of so sundries is more of the consumables and then home improvements is more of the durables. But basically I called it that because it's things where it's not necessarily like, like decorative items or things like that, but just anything like around the house that like improves my life. I think I called it like quality of life improvements for a while, but I was like, that's like a mouthful. But like I went to the store and I was like, I need some command strips. Like this is where that goes. Or like I need to buy like a picture frame to like hang because I had some art that I wanted to like give a more nice presentation. Like that's where that goes. Yeah, just random stuff that's like, yeah, like little things that are like, I've been meaning to get this, like quality of life improvement. Like it's probably fine if it doesn't happen, but just like, it kind of just gives me the like freedom to spend on that because it's there for it. Yeah.
That's cool.
Or if I wanted to buy a new pot for like my kitchen, things like just
something that's
stuff
not
like
going to
that.
be thrown away like for a while, or for a long time.
Yeah, or like trips to IKEA that would come out of this. Yeah.
I love the next category.
Yes.
Yeah, I was intrigued by this. And I was also intrigued because, okay, well, I guess you should say what it is first. Emergency takeout with the pizza emoji. Yeah?
Yes, emergency takeout. So, sometimes sometimes I honestly just don't have the time to be cooking. And that's what that's there for.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, and I really appreciate, like, I don't remember when exactly it was that I made this category, but it like instantly improved my life because I used to feel a lot of guilt. Like I think about
totally.
Yeah. Buying takeout and like, I don't know, just sometimes it's just really busy and you're like, I'm having like a rough time. I just need, like, I don't want to have to worry about like what I'm cooking for dinner. So it's just there for me. Yeah.
I was particularly intrigued by this because looking through your other categories, and maybe we'll get to it, but it seemed like you didn't have a dining out category. So like, do you not usually dine out very much? And this is what you use when you dine out or do takeout?
Yeah.
Or how's that
So
work for you?
I used to have a dining out category. And I think this is where the guilt came in because it was like I don't know, like distinguishing between like, I think the purpose of the dining out was that important distinguishing factor for me. So like, is it dining out because I'm like going out having fun with friends, or is it dining out because it's like I am dog tired at the end of the week and I just cannot cook? I can't do
it's
it,
like
so.
convenience first, like time with friends or like social stuff.
Yeah. And I think calling it like emergency takeout, like instead of dining out, like it helped me because I spend that money when I know that it is like it's important, right? Like like if I go out with friends, like I'm not taking it out of the emergency takeout one because like that's for emergencies. So and maybe that's like making it sound really drastic and dire, but yeah, it helps me.
Like the
distinguish.
emergency's not like you broke your ankle. It's like I am tired. Well,
Yeah.
I guess sometimes it might be like something really bad happened that day, and you just you need it could be like a proper emergency. So I guess it kind of has both. You know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's there. It's there as like, yeah, it's like also kind of a food supplement sort of category as well.
Yeah, it's cool. I love that. I love the intention of like separating the purpose of dining out. I mean, I did that a little bit too with the restaurants family and restaurants dates, you know, where it's like, why am I doing this? You know?
Yeah. This is maybe the single person's allegory
maybe,
to it. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Cool. And then you got stuff I forgot. I see.
Stuff I forgot to budget for. I gotta have that just because there's always miscellaneous things.
Yep.
And you know,
I love that category.
yeah, even if it's things that like, honestly, it's like less and less like stuff I actually forgot to budget for, and more just stuff that like I just don't want to make a category for this because it happens so infrequently. Yeah.
Right.
Like stamps.
Yes, I was just saying
make a
going to the
stamps
mail,
category.
like mailing things. Never.
Yeah.
do it.
It's just like it's not worth having a separate thing for it.
Yeah, exactly. So.
That's how you end up with like 100 categories.
Right.
Yes.
The toothpaste category or something. You know?
Exactly. Yep.
Cool.
So that's there. So that's living expenses, sort of those day-to-day kinds of things. And next is quality of life. So I liked keeping that name. Is that from the original budget? Did I?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Default.
Yeah.
Is that still a default, Ernie? I don't remember if we've changed that or not. I think it might be.
I think it is.
I feel like I want to like open a new budget right now to see.
I'm gonna do it.
Okay, you
All
do it. Yeah, is that still a default? I like the name. That name. Do you just kept around because you like that name?
Yeah. I feel like it's very clear like what that means. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, just
And I've
create a
had-
new budget. It's right there. Quality of life.
There you go.
Quiet life still thing. Yeah.
So
love
what's
that.
in the original version? Because I feel like I've changed the categories that are in it.
Hobbies.
Okay.
Hobbies, entertainment, health, and wellness.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. So it's just 3.
Yeah.
For the defaults.
It's a little different, but yeah, the intention I think of the category group is still there. So
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, because it's not fun. Well, it is fun. It's not like it's different from like dining out. It's like more like long term happiness kind of stuff. Like you got here, like hobbies and travel, you know, where it's like it's more like experiences and things like that, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah. So I mean, that's where my like fun money category is, which is like essentially like petty cash, I guess. That's where like dining out comes from.
Okay.
You know, like trip to, or if I go like to the movie theater, or I buy a coffee, which happens pretty frequently. Less frequently
that's
now.
good,
Coffee's
yeah.
getting expensive, and I don't want to be like kids
Yeah.
these days, but like it's like $7.
These days. Okay, so that's a catch-all for quite a few things. I like that. Instead of having like, I like that you're combining that. Where it's instead of having like a coffee category and then a dining out category and then like a movies or you know just I'll have it all in one and you don't need to worry about it so much.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so that simplified things a lot. And then I have trips and travel. So yeah, I honestly, this one still, it works for me, but it is a little bit vague, a little squishy about like what's a trip and what is travel. And I couldn't tell you, but so I probably put them together.
Yeah.
But yeah, like if I go to like, I don't know, the coast for a week or for like the day, you know, day trip that goes there. Like, yeah. Or if it's something that's even a little bit more long-term that like the spending comes out of there. Like, I don't really do the thing where you save in one category and like spend out of another just because you can, well, now I think if you delete a category, you can just like recategorize those transactions. So that makes that
you can merge it
easier.
all.
And I still like hide just like my categories. Like once I've basically like, if I'm saving for something and then that thing happens, like an event happens, and then I just take all the money that's left over, if there is any, and then I move it back, I guess, to this trips and travel category, and then I just hide that other category because I'm like done with it.
Yeah.
Okay.
A lot of folks still do that. I think
Yeah.
it's because like you feel like you're losing information if you merge it with something else.
It could be.
And so it's kind of nice to have it. Or I don't know
Yeah.
why. It's just
easier,
Or it's just the way
maybe.
you've always done it because you didn't have that merge feature back in 2019.
Yeah, I
or
think
whatever.
that's probably it. Just a habit holdover, but still works. for
Totally,
me.
yeah.
Yeah, so trips and travel is kind of a catch-all, a little bit of, just like those like day trips or, like just if I happen to, visit people or whatever, like that's just where that comes out of. And it's often where like what is in there in that category fluctuates quite a bit because like say, something will come up where I'm like, oh, I need to like go to this place for some reason that I hadn't like planned for like a long time in advance for, then it'll come out of that category usually instead of like, having maybe it's just a time thing, like the expediency of like this category is there, it has this amount of money, like maybe I can move some stuff into that category to like cover this trip or whatever. But if I didn't have like the time to like save intentionally for a trip, like I think that's usually where it becomes a different category. So
Right.
sense.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's a little big, a little squishy.
And then you got 2 emojis again for the hobbies.
Yes,
so
because what
do these represent actual hobbies or are they just like
they
random?
do,
What
yeah.
do you do?
So video games is a big hobby for me, and I just recently bought a bunch of games.
Nice.
Yeah, and then skating.
Oh, did you do you do Steam games? Did you do the Steam
No,
sale thing? Or?
Oh no, I
okay.
have done that before. Dangerous. Like
It's dangerous. It's like this game's $2. This game's $7. Then you have like 100 games you're never gonna
yes,
play.
it's that. It's honestly. So I have a Switch. I have a Nintendo Switch, and they have the eShop,
Okay.
and a lot of indie games. Like because of that eShop, I've honestly been exposed to so many more indie games, which are
It's so good. Well,
fun.
I was a big Steam gamer because I love indie games, and now Nintendo's gotten. The Nintendo eShop has tons of indie games these days, and actually, like they all do now. Because it used to be like if you wanted to play indie games, it was all Steam,
right.
And then now I feel like all the consoles have gotten into it, so it's broadened.
Yeah.
A lot of people. It's really
Yeah,
nice.
and so that one's really nice too because it's like it's not like a $70 hit. Like every time it's like $20
Right.
and like 15, 25.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And some of my most favorite games ever are those
Yes.
like $20 games.
Oh,
you know?
yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
So that's a big one. And that's a hobby that I share with like a lot of my family and friends too. So definitely over the, pandemic, we're big on the online gaming. So yeah. And then I have a roller skate emoji because that's another hobby that I have. I like to roller skate.
Nice.
Yeah. And so just,
I was gonna ask, like, do you do roller derby? Is that it, or is it just roller skating?
that's too scary. It looks really cool.
Because I do love that.
They look really cool.
I've watched roller derby sometimes, and I'm like, this is crazy.
It seems
it's so cool.
It's
though.
like I guess most of my exposure. So I've never been to a roller derby, so most of my exposure is just through the media. But like, I don't know. It seems like if you could play rugby on skates, I'm like
Totally.
it's intense,
fragile.
but it seems so.
It does
fun.
seem really cool.
But so you're just going around in parks with roller skates and stuff. That's fun.
Exactly. And I go with like a little skate crew. It's been a minute because it's during the winter
nice.
it's like rainy here, and so like now it's spring and summer and like consistently dry. So probably pick that up more often now. But there's like a little skate
cool.
group that goes out. We skate
Oh,
through
that's
the night.
fun. I love that.
Yeah. It makes me feel really cool when I do it.
Yeah. Oh, there's something cool, like even more than like inline skate. Like, you're doing like the four.
I am. I got
like
the quads.
skates. Yeah. I don't know. That seems cooler to me than. I feel like it's switched to some point because like when I was a kid, like you were such a dork if you were on roller skates. You had to have inline skates, and now I feel like it's cooler to have roller skates.
Totally.
I don't know.
Something about the retro. It's like the vibe. Yeah.
Yeah. It's the vibe. It's the vibe. Yeah, I love it.
So yeah, I've got those and just randomly like stuff like if I wanted to buy like a new helmet or, new wheels, like that would come out of there. Yeah. And then also just like other random hobbies. So I used to have I had a separate category for my fitness app. And I have, because that happens every month, but I also like play volleyball. And so like, sometimes I'm in a league, and then sometimes I just go to like the local open gym. And all of that costs like different amounts of money, and I go with like different frequencies. So that usually comes out of like I consult those used to be together in like a fitness category because there's all different ways to move your body. But I switched it. I switched it up just because I think the hobbies, like the fitness app, it's like every month. I'm not really gonna get rid of it. And then the other volleyball activities that I kind of do on and off, like I can just pull out of this category.
Yeah, the fitness app feels more like a bill, but the others are more random.
Yeah,
that's fun.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, that's nice. I feel like we learned a little about you there. That's what's so great about going through categories. It's like you just learn about people.
Yeah, it's really fun.
It's kind of cool.
Okay, and then I've got savings goals. So I just go to conferences, basically. Those are like the travel that I generally anticipate. So I've got a couple conferences like here, and they all have that world emoji. I don't know why, it just fit. So
I like it.
Yeah.
I think it's cool.
Makes a lot of sense. And are you presenting at these conferences sometimes? Or sometimes not?
So at ESA, definitely. Okay. And then the next one, AAG, hopefully. But it's, I think, a little early to be able to tell yet. So
that's so cool.
Yeah.
I feel like as far as academia goes, that's like kind of the coolest thing.
Yeah, it is definitely one of the coolest parts to see like really what other people are doing in the field. So it's really fun.
That's neat.
And then I have a little wish farm. This one's also strange. Okay, so again, I like have those like save and spend like punctuated sort of thing. So instead of like I tried having like the wish the wish farm, and then what was it called when you're picking them?
Wish list?
Yeah, okay, the wish list and then the wish farm when that's right.
Okay,
so I tried to do that, and I think I just like kind of lost, like things will come in and out of like how bad I want them, like in any particular time.
Right.
So it was easier for me, I think, just anytime I got like gift money, like money to spend like for my birthday, or like maybe I had, like if I decided like I get my Costco cash back and I decide to put like $100 in there because that's for myself.
Yeah.
Like I just put it in that category, and then just kind of like whatever I want to get at that time for that money, that's what I'll spend. So
I like that. Yeah, it's the same kind of vibe as some of your other categories where you let it build up, and then when it's time, it's time, and you spend it. Yeah. Yep. That's cool.
And then I have a category for miscellaneous windfall. So yeah, these ones are probably just the most random. But yeah, I got a grant that it dispersed out, like I had applied to it as research funding, but it kind of dispersed out to me like personally. It was a very strange situation. But basically, I put that money aside so that I knew just to spend it on like research like items.
Oh, sure. Yeah. It's just like an accounting thing.
Exactly. Yeah. And so that's what that's for. And then...
And the handsaw emoji?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, so there was one of the projects that I was doing for a while. I had to like build these like plastic cages essentially. So it was like plants pollinate other plants, like if they're wind pollinated. And so this was a way to like isolate them to make sure they only pollinated themselves. Yeah, it was one of those things. It did not actually end up working out, so I had to like get a lot of refunds. It was very strange, but yeah, I feel like for like plant ecology, like you do end up like buying, like going to the Home Depot and buying
life finds a way.
Yeah, like lots of PVC and like I don't know. Yeah.
Okay.
God,
yeah,
pruners.
Makes sense.
I feel like whenever I talk to somebody in science doing research, it's like they're always like trying to build something to make an experiment work. You know?
Totally.
Yeah.
Yep. So that was that. Yeah. And then this next one, it's called For the Coalition. So we have in my program, like we have this group of students who are other Black ecologists, and we call ourselves the Coalition of Black Ecologists. So
I love it.
Yeah. So in 2020, it was a weird time, but like was also like people were just like paying Black people money, and like essentially reparations, which hey. So, but I knew that I wanted to spend that money on like my community specifically instead of just like pocketing it. So I put it away like in its own category.
Totally.
And
That's the
Yeah,
intent for it.
exactly.
Yeah.
And so, there've been times where I've like just like sent money to all my friends to be like, buy yourself like food. Because maybe something like really crappy happened in the news or whatever. And then I still have a nice little chunk, so I'm thinking maybe we'll go on like a writing retreat or something, and I'll help pay for the cost with that money. Yeah. So just some
Okay.
holding categories.
So these are both kind of like accounting, holding categories.
Yeah.
Exactly. I like that. Cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I feel like we learned so much about you and not just like your processes, but just about your personality, and it's really, really special.
Yeah.
Thanks for chatting with us.
Before we let you go, Jasmin, it was great hearing about the categories. I also want to hear about your YNAB routine.
Oh, okay.
Right? The various habits that just kind of keep you in YNAB, to keep things updated, to keep yourself aware of what's going on. Maybe any quirky workflows that you've established. Just what's your YNAB routine?
Yeah, honestly, things changed a lot once I got the app on my phone, because I pretty much it's like pretty exclusively I'm app based, which I don't know if that's typical for people, but
it's becoming more and more typical. There's a lot of folks that like don't even have a computer at home, so like they only use the phone. They never even seen the web app. So like that's the thing we're seeing. More and more,
I started it was basically just the web app, and then the app. And also like functionalities like been steadily improving, which is super great. But yeah, I think that's honestly like the main game changer is when I got the app and then it was able to because it gives you the notification when you have new transactions to import and categorize. And that was the thing that was like really slowing me down, because like before, where I would let it like on just the computer, like it would be like probably months, honestly, before I'd get back to it and be like, I have up. Like 70
That's
transactions.
Overwhelming.
Yeah.
It's so much.
And that was got chaotic.
Okay. So because it's on your phone, you're just constantly kind of reminded, hey, there's something to do. And it's almost like a game. Like you go in, you make the numbers go down or up, and
that, and then like even more of a game too, because I try to get like the chain, like the link. Like it's always so satisfying when it's like
I do that too.
It is
when you have like 4 new transactions and they all have the chain. You're like, I did it.
Yeah, just this morning I think I had like 10 or 15 transactions. This is Monday when we're recording this, and it's like all the weekend stuff. And I'm like, it had like all of them, and except for one that wasn't linked. I was like, so close.
Yeah.
I'm waiting for Tuesday morning because it's Monday, and the Costco, all this. I do most of my spending on the weekend, right? And the Costco doesn't clear until Tuesday morning for me. So Monday morning is pretty uneventful, but Tuesday morning there's going to be dozens of chain links. And that's going to be awesome.
That's so satisfying.
I love that.
Yeah.
So it sounds like you enter a lot of stuff yourself as well as you go.
I tried to do that. Another little game thing is like, can I enter this while I'm standing at the like cash register? Like, how fast can I do it?
Before the transaction even
exactly.
completes.
And then they're like, do you want your receipt? And I'm like, I'm good. Thank you.
I don't need it.
Got it all.
It's all written down.
So I think between like having the web app and honestly the widgets, like, because it's like you can quick enter something from basically a lot of my like life living expenses are in that specific widget. So just the stuff that I spend out of pretty frequently. And so that's really simplified things.
So your routine is more like just whenever you see an icon pop up, you'd go and process just at random times. You're not like get my cup of coffee and sit down and do it. You're like whenever you feel like it kind of vibe.
Yeah. And cool. I mean, I feel like that's really kept me like the most like up to date. Like, now that like having that notification and like knowing to check it like every day pretty much like has really kept and that's when
and it keeps you in it, and you check it every day, and because you process transactions and then you go look at the budget and stare at it, and it all just kind of gets you into it every day. So that's good. Love that.
Nice.
Cool. All right. Well, is there anything else you wanted to say, Jasmin, or any more questions, Ernie?
No questions from me.
Yeah, I think this is really interesting. Anything else you want to say?
Yeah, I really love your podcast. Love YNAB. It's just so great. It's really changed my life. So if anybody else, I guess, can relate to having like variable income or, just honestly, I feel like that's maybe the most beneficial, maybe seeing how someone else handles it. So I hope it's helpful to people who listen.
Totally.
And you're not alone.
You're not alone.
Excellent.
That's right. Yep. Let Jasmine know in the comments what you think, or if you want to send us an email at budgetnerds@ynab.com. I'm happy to pass that on to Jasmine if you have any questions for her or any comments. Let us know.
And thanks again, Jasmine, for coming on. It was an absolute pleasure talking with you, going through your categories. Loved every second of it.
Thank you.
All right.
All right.
Happy YNAB'ing,
See you in a couple
everybody.
more weeks. See you, friends.